Good afternoon everyone, TMM Gamer here bringing you some Spec Ops. Now, before I get started on the commentary, I'd just like to thank everyone who took the time and effort to comment on my last video, the Twitter feud video about Woody and White Boy's feud on Twitter. Now, the response that video got was surprising, it really was. I was expecting it to get a much worse response than that, but I was pleasantly surprised, and I'd like to thank everyone who bothered to comment on that and has subsequently subscribed. And I hope you don't regret your decision. Now, just a tiny little bit on the gameplay. This is armor piercing. It's one of the last 3 Spec Ops missions, and me and my friend Tom from uni are doing it on Veteran. Now, if you haven't done it on Veteran, what the strats are for this is to have one person take the intervention with the thermal scope and the other person to take the Barrett, because those are only 2 weapons that are going to reliably kill the Juggernaut. Now, the guy with the intervention runs ahead first, so he acts as bait. So what you want to do is you want the Juggernaut to be focused entirely on the guy with the intervention, so the man with the Barrett can take him down. This is a perfect example. See, the guy with the interventions ran off in front because I'm playing that role. I get killed by the Juggernaut, but it doesn't matter because that means my mate Tom can have all the time to just slow down, get his sights up and aim exactly where I tell him where the Juggernaut's going to be and take him down very easily. And the thing is, you can't rush around for the entirety of the level. You've got to make your way to the helipad up the top, but I'll perhaps talk about a little bit about that after. Right, the main part of this commentary is going to be about Modern Warfare 3. Now, if you hadn't known, which you probably would have done by now, I think it was yesterday or the day before, a lot of info on Modern Warfare 3 was released, and I'm just going to go through a little bit now. I don't want to spoil it for any of you, so I'm not going to go through any of the campaign story, and I haven't read anything about the campaign story. I've just read a little bit, like where they're going to be and stuff. Right, apparently it follows directly on from Modern Warfare 2, so you're still going to be playing as Soap, I think, Soap or Price. So, and it's literally going to be the month after. Some of the locations you go to include London, New York, Berlin, Dubai and Mogadishu. So, as in previous Infinity Ward games, you go all over the world, which is going to be brilliant. Now, another important thing is, and it ties in nicely with this commentary, is Spec Ops is back. Now, a lot of the missions will be just the same as they were in Modern Warfare 2, mission based, so kill this amount of people, survive this amount of time in this place, etc, etc. But a few have been tweaked. Now, what they are going to be, survival mode missions. So they are going to be horde mode. You stay in one location or one map and survive as long as possible against waves of increasingly difficult enemies. Now, does that sound familiar to you? I think that sounds pretty familiar. And the reason why it sounds familiar is because it's exactly what Treyarch have been doing for the last few years with zombie mode. And this is obviously, I think it's still Infinity Ward, but I'm not entirely sure. They've had a lot of change, so it's probably some of the developer with them. But Infinity Ward, or whoever it is, are having an attempt to copy the success of zombie mode. Now, I'm not too sure about that. I don't know whether it's perfectly good just to rip a good idea off Treyarch and put it into their game, because I really enjoyed Spec Ops. I think it was a very, very innovative idea. It was a nice break from multiplayer every now and again. If you got a little bit frustrated with multiplayer, you were a little bit, bored, you'd done the single player campaign about 3 or 4 times and you didn't want to do it again, you could just play this with a friend. You could play it offline if you wanted to, or you could play it online with a friend. And the veteran missions are actually quite a challenge, some of them. And the scrapyard was the one that was the most difficult one. It was virtually impossible to do it on veteran. It took many, many hours and many, many tries before I managed to do that. But the vast majority were fun and not excruciatingly painful like Scrapyard was. So, I am quite glad that the Spec Ops is back, but I'm not perhaps as glad that they have ripped off zombie mode from Treyarch, because zombie mode is incredibly popular, and I'm going to be a little negative and say I don't think Spec Ops Horde mode will get the same response as Treyarch's in Treyarch's zombie mode. I'm a little bit iffy about it, but we'll see. I mean, the hype has only just started. It wasn't actually no official word was going to be out on the game for another few weeks, but as the scale of the leak was so big, 402, who's Robert Bolin, the community director for Infinity Ward, decided to speed up the release of Modern Warfare 2 game information. So he's released several teaser trailers. I think it's an England, an American, a German and a French teaser trailer, which I discussed like fighting by the Eiffel Tower, fighting by Big Ben and Westminster. I think it's New York, the American trailer. So it's just obviously the locations are going to be capital cities. And at the end of each commentary, there's at the end of each mini video, there's a Makarov, I think, saying in Russian, "Never let your enemies rest," or something along that. So what we can probably glean from that, without spoiling too much of the story mode, is that Makarov is going to continue the invasion of America and perhaps invade Western Europe as well. Now I'm quite interested to see how he's going to get all the manpower for this, but we'll never know. He's going to pull some battalions out his ass. But we'll see. I reckon the story will be very good, because Infinity Ward's single player campaigns have always been very, very good. I mean, COD 4 was brilliant. Modern Warfare 2 was fantastic as well. So I'm not expecting anything less from Modern Warfare 3. I expect it to be a brilliant single player campaign, but let's be honest, the vast majority of people who buy Call of Duty do not buy it for their single player campaign, and whether this game crashes or falls is going to be on multiplayer. Now, the last two games have had a lot of problems. I mean, Modern Warfare 2 was fun. I mean, it's a lot more fun for me than Black Ops, but it had so many problems. Now, there are glitches now that still haven't been patched in game, like nearly 2 years on. So if Infinity Ward support the next game as badly as they did Modern Warfare 2, it's going to be a failure. Also, there were very, very newbie perks involved. I mean, One Man Army noob tubes is the prime example, although there were others, Commando. These perks were seen by the vast majority of the community as ruining the game, and yet Infinity Ward didn't really do much about it. Now, what they did very, very well was the overall enjoyment of the game. I never really got bored of Modern Warfare 2. I got frustrated by the perks, but I never actually said, right, this game's just getting tedious now. I always enjoyed to play it, and that's something I haven't been able to say about Black Ops, because Black Ops has got a little bit boring, and that's the other end of the spectrum. Treyarch have built a game in Black Ops that is a lot better supported than any previous Infinity Ward game. There's no glitching, there's no out-of-map glitches. They're very, very quick on the patches. They are tinkering with the weapons to see if they get something that the entire community likes, and that's very laudable. That's a very, very good thing. But on the flip side of that, they've built a game which many people see as boring, and it's very slow paced. The kill streaks don't stack. It encourages camping, because when your kill streaks don't stack, you've got to work that a little bit extra harder to get that 9 kill streak, that 11 kill streak, your dogs, whatever. And to do that, you can't rush around, because in Call of Duty, you make one mistake, you go into the open, someone's got a FAMAS at you, and you're going to die. So it encourages too much defensive playstyle, so it's a lot slower game. And I'm not quite sure I like that. I like COD to be fast-paced. This isn't Gears, this isn't tactical. I like Gears as well, but it's its own separate game, and I think Call of Duty's got a little bit slow-paced for me in the last one. So hopefully Infinity will find a happy medium between the two. They'll make it fun and fast-paced, bring back sniping, which I think everyone in the community wants back, but also support the game as well, as Treyarch did. And if they manage to do that, then I think they'll have a very, very good game on their hands. Alright, just a tiny little bit more about the gameplay. Obviously, if you hadn't been watching, we've managed to rush our way to the top of the helipad. Now, when you're at the top of the helipad, there's only one door which the Juggernauts can come through, which is the door that both of us are looking at here. Now, what you want to do for your strats is have the guy with the Barrett 50 cal lie on the floor and have the guy with the intervention stand up, because if you're a little bit slow on the trigger finger and the Juggernaut manages to get rounds off, you want the guy with the intervention shot first, because the Barrett can rapid fire a Juggernaut down fairly easily, but the guy with the intervention can't easily kill a Juggernaut. So if the Juggernaut takes out the guy with the Barrett, the intervention guy is going to have to hit every shot in a good area, and that's a lot of pressure, because if he messes up, then you've basically ruined a very tough Spec Ops mission. Now, this is a little bit slow paced, but this is the surefire way of doing this. If you manage to get to the helipad, you will complete this mission 95% of the time. So I think it's a strat that's very, very worthwhile for you to do. Now, I'm not sure if any of you haven't still done Spec Ops, but I was getting a little bit bored of putting Minecraft videos up, especially as most of them went, yeah, I've sort of knocked off the top of this hill again, and I haven't really done much else. because I was getting a little bit bored with Minecraft, and I was hoping that a Spec Ops would perhaps freshen it up a little bit, because I obviously still can't do online gameplay because the PSN is still being useless, but I thought this is the second best thing I could do, guys. So I hope you have enjoyed it, because it's something a little bit different, and I've recorded several other Spec Ops missions for you that I will put up over the next week or so until hopefully the PSN's back. As you can see, completed it on veteran, nice and easy, nice easy strap. So